What is going on, everyone? I'm your host, Kevin Munoz. This is the Leo Podcast Tech episode where we discuss all things tech. For today's tech episode, I have 5 juicy stories for you. First up, images and a video of Meta's next virtual reality headset have surfaced online. For our second story, Intel broke ground on a $20 billion chip manufacturing facility outside of Columbus, Ohio. Our third story, TikTok is now testing an experimental feature for its platform that replicates BeReal's daily photo prompt. Our fourth, Ethereum has completed its anticipated merge event that switches the blockchain from a proof of work to a proof of stake system. And for our fifth and final story is a follow-up to the bill in California, which has now been signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom last Thursday. All this coming up on today's free episode. Today is Monday, September 19th. If you want early access to episodes and bonus episodes, you can find that right now on our patreon.com/latinamericaneo. And if not, then enjoy this one. For our first story, images and a video of a Meta Quest Pro virtual reality headset surfaced online, posted by Ramiro Cardenas, who claims that the device was left in a hotel room. This device shown resembles the Project Cambria headset Meta has been recently teasing since late last year and looks like the one spotted in leaked setup videos. The video shows Cardena removing the device from its packaging, revealing a black headset and a controller with what looks like an updated design. While the headset has 3 cameras on its front, the controller features a design that drops the hollowed out look design that houses the sensors for something more solid. As for the packaging, it has the Meta Quest Pro label stamped in the top left corner and a graphic showing the VR headset and controllers. Cardenas even provided a close-up of the label stuck to the box, which read, "Not for resale, engineering sample," and told The Verge that the person who stayed in the room has since claimed the headsets. These images and video surfaced exactly a month ahead of Meta's Connect event on October 11th, which lines up with the timeline CEO Mark Zuckerberg confirmed for when the company will reveal its next VR headset. Of course, this kind of leak has grain as salt written all over it, and the video, like many accidentally left in a room stories, has the same vibes as "my uncle works for Nintendo." Since then, Cardena has also claimed that the device was returned to its original owner, meaning that we never actually got to see him take the device for a spin or even turn the thing on. He also can't answer any questions about it. The box also looks identical to the original Quest packaging, so take this all as you will. For our second story, Intel broke ground on a $20 billion chip manufacturing facility outside of Columbus, Ohio. According to Biden, this is the story of the field of dreams in the middle of Ohio where America's future will be built. Think about the tradition here. The Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, and John Glenn. They defined America's spirit as a spirit of daring and innovation. Biden also noted that the building and opening of the campus will create 7,000 union construction jobs and 3,000 full-time jobs with an average salary of $135,000 a year, and that not all of them will require a college degree. If you listen to our tech episode 60, then you might recall that Biden signed the $280 billion Bipartisan CHIPS Act to boost domestic high-tech manufacturing as Intel, Micron Technology, IBM, Lockheed Martin, HP Inc., and AMD executives watched it happen. The president says that there is irony in the fact that to prep the site, construction crews must dig 60 feet below ground to provide a secure foundation for the facility that will be 10 football fields long. All this, he said, to make a computer chip that's the size of a fingertip. Intel stated that the construction was made possible by the CHIPS and Science Act and bipartisan infrastructure law, and that investing to revitalize the U.S. chip-making ecosystem will bring a broad range of economic benefits while helping to restore balance, dependability, and resilience to the global semiconductor supply chain. The federal subsidies, which are part of the CHIPS and Science Act signed into law last month, are sparking a wave of chip investment. Micron is holding its own groundbreaking ceremony for a $15 billion chip factory near its headquarters in Boise, Idaho. Chipmakers Wolfspeed on Friday announced plans to build a new manufacturing facility in Chatham County, North Carolina. Taiwan's TSMC, the world's largest chip maker, has said it will seek subsidies for a $12 billion factory that it has begun building in Phoenix and is aiming to finish late next year. A partnership between Skywater Technology and Purdue University will apply for a federal subsidy to build a new $1.8 billion factory and research facility next to the university in West Lafayette, Indiana. The United States today depends heavily on Asia and especially Taiwan for its chip manufacturing, a reliance that has worried the U.S. officials as the self-governing island's tensions with China rise. Asian governments have long subsidized chip manufacturing, helping them corner the lion's share of production in recent decades, to the detriment of the United States and other Western nations that took a more laissez-faire approach. Chip factories are among the most expensive manufacturing facilities to build, costing $10 billion or more, making many investors reluctant to build them without government assistance. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break. You're listening to the Leo Podcast. I'm Kevin Munoz. Support for today's episode comes from my Patreons. If you enjoy the show and are looking for bonus content and to further support the show, then head on over to patreon.com/latinamericaneo or visit my website latinamericaneo.org to join the growing Leo Podcast community, because the learning doesn't stop with this episode. There's also some sick merch on my website, everything from shirts, coffee mugs, and tote bags. All info will be at the bottom in the show notes. Now let's get back to today's episode. For our third story, TikTok launched a new feature last week that is basically just a copy of BeReal, the buzzy French social app that has been steadily gaining popularity. BeReal invites users to take a front and back camera photo at a random time every day, designated to capture a more authentic picture of what our friends are doing all day. Snapchat and Instagram caught wind of this and have already launched front and back camera features, and Instagram is rumored to be working on its own time-based feature. According to a recent tweet from a mobile developer, Instagram could be looking at a new BeReal type feature called IG Candid Challenges, which has a lot of similarities to BeReal, right down to a 2-minute warning. The new feature, which a Meta spokesperson says is a prototype, allows users to take and post an unedited photo at a random time each day, which sounds familiar, right? But TikTok beats its competitors to the punch by being the first app to just outright cut and paste BeReal into its platform. The company's blog reads, "TikTok now invites you and your friends to capture what you're doing in the moment using your device's front and back camera. You'll receive a daily prompt to capture a 10-second video or a static photo to easily share what you're up to. Every day when the BeReal goes out, users get a notification telling them that it's time to be real. While TikTok's notification looks the same, users are notified between lightning emojis that it is time to now, which honestly doesn't have the same ring to it." According to TikTok, the feature is now available for US users, and when looking at the mock-up images, it looks like the Now button will appear at the bottom of the navigation bar next to the posting button. I have yet to see it on mine, but if you have yours available already, then let me know. Now, BeReal comes with its own privacy concerns, and if you aren't careful to turn off your location, you might be accidentally sharing exactly where you live down to the street name with all your friends. In the mock-up images shared by TikTok, it doesn't look like the location appears to be part of the TikTok Now interface. It's actually kind of sad to see these social media apps copy each other. Think about how many apps have a TikTok clone now. But according to Crunchbase, an app like BeReal isn't part of a tech giant like Instagram or YouTube, and the company has fewer than 50 employees. For our fourth story, the massive overhaul of Ethereum known as the Merge has finally happened, moving the digital machinery at the core of the second largest cryptocurrency by market value to a vastly more energy efficient system after years of development and delay. It is definitely a huge accomplishment, swapping out one way of running a blockchain known as proof of work for another called proof of stake. Now, some of you might be asking why they even did this and why it was so anticipated. Well, the reason for this is that the payoff is potentially gigantic. Ethereum should now consume 99.9% or so less energy. According to one estimate, it's like Finland has suddenly shut off its power grid. Ethereum's developers say that the upgrade would make the network, which houses a $60 billion ecosystem of cryptocurrency exchanges, lending companies, non-fungible token marketplaces, and other apps, more secure and scalable too. When the merge officially kicked in at 6:43 a.m. UTC, more than 41,000 people were tuned in on YouTube to an Ethereum mainnet merge viewing party. After about 15 long minutes, the merge was officially finalized, meaning it could be declared a success. The price of Ethereum, whose current market value near $200 billion, makes it the second largest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin, was largely flat after the merge. The update, which ends the network's reliance on the energy-intensive process of cryptocurrency mining, has been closely watched by crypto investors, enthusiasts, and skeptics for the impact it is expected to have on the wider blockchain industry. Investor and billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team, Mark Cuban, told CoinDesk he would be watching the merge with an interest like everyone else, pointing out that it might make ETH, the network's native token, deflationary. However, not everyone buys into the proof of stake hype. There are no signs that Bitcoin, for instance, will ever abandon proof of work, which proponents insist remains the more battle-tested and secure system. Buterin, Ethereum's most visible figurehead, previously outlined a set of next steps for the network that includes sharding, a method that should help address the network's sluggish transaction times and high fees by spreading transactions across shards like adding lanes to a highway. That upgrade was initially slated to accompany the transition to proof of stake. Still, it was deprioritized given the success that third-party solutions called roll-ups have had in solving some of the same issues. Rollups foreshadow the likely future of Ethereum development, where community solutions rather than updates to Ethereum's core code play the primary role in expanding the chain's capabilities. For our fifth and final story, California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed into law a new bill that could upend how social media platforms deal with underage users. The bill, known as AB 2273, requires online platforms to consider the best interest of child users and to default to privacy and safety settings that protect children's mental and physical health and well-being. The law, which won't go into effect until July of 2024, is meant to place further restrictions on the type of data that platforms can collect from children. In Newsom's press release, they state that AB 2273 prohibits companies that provide online services, products, or features likely to be accessed by children from using a child's information. In Newsom's press release, they state that AB 2273 prohibits companies that provide online services, products or features likely to be accessed by children from using a child's personal information, collecting, selling, or retaining a child's geolocation, profiling a child by default, and leading or encouraging children to provide personal information. However, what's still not clear is exactly what this will mean on a practical level for social media games and other online platforms. And the bill has already faced sharp criticism from privacy advocates as well as the tech industry. One criticism backed by the digital rights group is that requiring companies to identify child users could harm the privacy of everyone, not just kids. According to them, the bill is so vaguely and broadly written that it will almost certainly lead to widespread use of invasive age verification techniques that subject children and everyone else to more surveillance while claiming to protect their privacy. Fight for the Future wrote in a statement denouncing the bill that requiring age verification also makes it nearly impossible to use online services anonymously, which threatens freedom of expression, particularly for marginalized communities, human rights activists, whistleblowers, and journalists. Growing concern over the psychological and emotional toll of Instagram on its younger users prompted a Senate panel last year. Ahead of the hearing, the platform unveiled new teen safety features, including one that notified users if they were spending too much time on the app, and an option to automatically report that objectionable content to their parents. And earlier this year, Instagram launched parental control that allows guardians to monitor who their teens follow and impose times on the app. Now, this recent change likely won't be too impactful for teen users whose parents or guardians already control their accounts through Instagram's Family Center. And for teens who are allowed to roam free on Instagram, it's hard to imagine how many will willingly switch on the most restrictive content settings, especially if many of their peers pick the more lenient filter. That's all for today on the Leo Podcast. I'm Kevin Munoz, and as always, feel free to send me a message with your thoughts or with any interesting topic that you'd like to see covered. And for those of you on Patreon, I will see you there. Otherwise, I will see you all in next week's episode. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a family or a friend and rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps tremendously in order to bring more awareness and educational resources to our community. For more information and to stay up to date with what I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram at Latinoamericaneo. And if you need more information and resources, you can visit my website, latinoamericaneo.org. I'm Kevin Munoz. This has been the Leo Podcast, and I'll see you next time.